The doorbell rang at exactly 7:42 p.m., which was already suspicious. No one respectable rings a doorbell at 7:42 p.m. If you have business stopping by someone's house, you do it at a normal, even-numbered time, 7:30, 8 o'clock, maybe even 7:45 if you're feeling reckless. But 7:42? That's the kind of time you show up when you don't want to be expected. I was on the couch, half watching a documentary about deep-sea shipwrecks, because that's what you do when you're in your mid-40s and life has settled into a predictable loop of work, bills, and figuring out whether or not the dishwasher was run. Donna was upstairs getting ready, which, in our marriage, had come to mean she would emerge in an outfit that looked suspiciously like the one she left the house in that morning, with some minor but completely unnecessary adjustments. A different pair of earrings, maybe. A cardigan that had apparently been reinvented since 2 p.m. I put my beer down, stretched, and opened the door. And there he was. If you had asked me to predict who I would find standing on my doorstep at that exact moment, I would have gone through a long list before I got to this guy. Jehovah's Witnesses? Sure. Annoying neighborhood kid selling discount coupon books? Possibly. A rogue, off-duty Amazon delivery driver dropping off a package labeled for the previous homeowner who moved 5 years ago? Highly likely. But this? No. This was new. Paul, my man. The guy grinned. His teeth were too white, like he had personally been sponsored by a toothpaste company. How's it going? Now, let's pause here for a moment. This was not a friend. Not an old buddy from high school. Not a coworker who randomly decided to drop by. This was a complete stranger. And if there's one thing adulthood teaches you, it's that unannounced strangers are never bringing good news. So, like any rational person, I gave him the squint. You know the squint. The slightly narrowed eyes. The tilt of the head. The universally understood expression that says, I have no idea who you are, and I don't like that about you. He ignored it. Listen, I know this is weird, but I just wanted to come by, man to man, and clear the air. He clapped his hands together, like we were about to have a good OL chat about our shared love of classic cars or barbecue techniques. I blinked. About what, exactly? And then, before I even had time to brace for whatever was about to come next, he said it. Donna. Now, when you've been married for 15 years, your wife's name coming out of a stranger's mouth at 7:42 p.m. on a Thursday is never a good thing. I kept my face neutral, but every alarm bell in my head started blaring. She told me about you, he continued, like we were catching up over coffee. Said you're a good guy. I respect that, really. He nodded in a way that suggested he very much did not respect that. I was silent for a long moment, staring at him, waiting for my brain to catch up to whatever parallel universe I had just stepped into. And then it clicked. Oh. I exhaled slowly through my nose, which was the only appropriate response to realizing a man was standing on your porch, casually discussing your wife like she was some sort of limited-time offer at a car dealership. So, I said finally, shifting my weight against the doorframe, just so I'm clear, are you about to tell me that you're the guy sleeping with my wife? Or is there some other reason you're here, ruining what was otherwise shaping up to be a very uneventful Thursday? The guy chuckled. He actually chuckled, like we were two sitcom characters about to exchange witty banter. I mean, yeah, he admitted, shrugging like this was just a minor inconvenience for both of us. But before you get all weird about it, I just want you to know, this wasn't personal, man. Not personal. Now, I've heard a lot of dumb things in my life. I once had a coworker try to convince me that dinosaurs and humans definitely lived at the same time because he saw a painting of it at a gas station in Arizona. I've listened to my mother-in-law explain, in great detail, why she thinks Wi-Fi gives people arthritis. But this was next level. I tilted my head. Oh, wasn't it? Nah, man. He smiled in a way that made me want to punch his two white teeth. It's just one of those things. These things happen. These things happen, I repeated, rolling the words around in my mouth like they were something I had accidentally bitten into. Like what? Like losing your keys? Like forgetting to take the trash out? Exactly. He pointed at me like I was finally catching on. You get it. Oh, I got it. I got that Donna had apparently been spending her time with the kind of guy who thought marital betrayal was in the same category as running out of milk. And that's when I laughed. I couldn't help it. It just came out. Because the sheer audacity of this man, this human-shaped disaster of arrogance and overpriced hair gel, standing on my porch, trying to make me feel better about the fact that my wife had been sneaking around behind my back, it was beyond absurd. It was comedy gold. I wiped a fake tear from my eye. Man, This is incredible, I said, shaking my head. I gotta tell you, I never expected my Thursday night to take this turn. So, what's next? You gonna try to sell me a timeshare? Maybe invite me to one of those business opportunity meetings where I can be my own boss. His smile faltered for the first time, which meant my work here was done. He said, suddenly shifting on his feet. So, yeah. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there. No hard feelings, right? I smiled. A big, wide, friendly smile. Oh, none at all, I assured him. And then, with the same level of nonchalance he had gifted me, I reached out, grabbed the door, and slammed it right in his face. I stood there for a good minute after shutting the door, just processing what had just happened. All right, so let's review. A random guy who, let's be honest, looked like he did push-ups in public just to be seen, showed up at my house to inform me, as a courtesy, that he had been seeing my wife. Not to apologize. Not to beg for forgiveness. Not even to try and spin some ridiculous sob story about how it was all a mistake, and he had fallen in love, and she was the one. No. He was just here to give me a friendly heads up, like I had spinach in my teeth. And that was it. That was the whole plan. Ring my doorbell, casually destroy my marriage, and then, what? Fist bump? Tell me to keep my chin up? Offer me a discount on personal training sessions? It was impressive in a way. Not in the wow, what an upstanding guy way, but more in the I can't believe you function in society without getting hit by a moving vehicle way. I took a deep breath. Okay. I had two options here. Option 1. I could march upstairs, demand answers from Donna, and enter the next phase of my life as the guy who has a public meltdown so legendary that it becomes a story people tell at family gatherings for years to come. Option 2. I could not do that. Now, under normal circumstances, option 1 would be the obvious choice. I mean, what kind of man just lets something like this go? But here's the thing, Donna was still upstairs, oblivious. And for the first time in our entire marriage, I had the upper hand. It wasn't much. In fact, it was the equivalent of a single pawn on a chessboard that had already been set on fire. But it was something. So, I did what any reasonable person would do. I turned around, grabbed another beer from the fridge, and sat back down on the couch. Because if I was about to have the worst night of my life, I was at least going to be hydrated for it. 2 minutes later, Donna finally came downstairs. She had that look. You know the one. I spent an hour pretending to get ready while actually just scrolling on my phone, and now I want credit for my effort look. Hey, she said, in that fake casual way people do when they're testing the waters. What's up? I took a sip of my beer. Not much. Just had an interesting visitor. Now, here's where things got fun. Because if there's one thing Donna has always been good at, it's talking just enough to get what she wants without giving anything away. It's an impressive skill, really. Oh. She tilted her head, like a confused golden retriever. Who? I smiled. Some guy. Her expression didn't change, but I could tell. The subtle shift in her posture. The slight widening of her eyes before she forced them back into neutrality. Really? She said, playing it cool. What did he want? And now, the moment of truth. I shrugged. Oh, nothing much. Just wanted to let me know that he's been seeing my wife. You ever watch someone try to keep their cool but fail in retime? Because let me tell you, it is spectacular. Her face froze for half a second before she forced out a laugh, the kind of laugh that people do when they're hoping reality will just go away if they refuse to acknowledge it. What? She scoffed. That's a wow. That's insane. Some random guy just showed up and said that. Yep. And you believed him? I leaned back. I don't know, Donna. He seemed pretty confident. Said he knew you well. Real friendly guy. Now, here's what I expected to happen next. A string of denials, followed by an Oscar-worthy performance about how insulting it was that I'd even entertained such a thought. What I didn't expect was for her to change the subject entirely. She sighed dramatically. You know, this is exactly the kind of thing I was worried about. I raised an eyebrow. Oh. She folded her arms, shaking her head like a disappointed kindergarten teacher. Paul, we have got to talk about your trust issues. My trust issues. I almost choked on my beer. You think I have trust issues? I repeated, genuinely in awe at the sheer level of audacity happening in my living room. She nodded, as if this was the most logical conversation in the world. You always assume the worst. Like, do you realize how crazy it sounds that some stranger would just show up and say that? I took a slow breath. So, let me get this straight. Your argument is that I am the problem here. She nodded again. Not the guy who showed up at our house unannounced. Well, no, but ew. not the fact that he seemed to know exactly where we lived. Paul? Not the part where he seemed very comfortable talking about my wife like she was a shared timeshare property. Her jaw tightened. You're being ridiculous. I set my beer down, because I was at serious risk of throwing it across the room out of sheer disbelief. Okay, I said, rubbing my temples. Let's go ahead and test your little theory here. Let's pretend that this was all some random prank. Some guy, for no reason at all, decided to track you down, find our address, and inform me, out of the goodness of his heart, that he has been seeing you. Now, if that were true, and you were completely innocent, what would be the appropriate response? She hesitated. I held up a finger. Would it be A, immediate outrage and insistence that this was a lie? Or B, gaslighting your husband into thinking he's a paranoid lunatic? Donna crossed her arms again. Oh, so now I'm gaslighting you? I nodded. Yes, you are. And let me tell you, Donna, it's truly a work of art. If this whole thing doesn't work out, you should absolutely look into politics. She groaned and ran a hand through her hair. I can't with you right now. Yeah, I bet you can't. I exhaled sharply. All right, fine. Let's play another game. I'll give you 5 seconds to say something, anything, that proves this isn't true. She scoffed. I don't have to prove anything to you. Donna. What? For seconds. This is ridiculous. 3. Oh my God. Paul? 2. She clenched her jaw. 1. Silence. I nodded. Yeah, that's what I thought. She stormed off upstairs without another word, slamming the bedroom door so hard that it rattled a picture frame on the wall. I sat back, exhaled, and reached for my beer again. All right, so that settled that. Now I just had to figure out what came next. I gave Donna about 10 minutes to sulk upstairs before I decided it was time for me to take action. I wasn't sure what kind of action exactly, but I figured anything would be more productive than staring at the living room wall while she barricaded herself in the bedroom, probably Googling how to turn the tables on your husband when caught cheating. Now, normally, when a marriage is imploding, there are a few go-to options. You could yell. You could throw something. You could pack a bag and storm out dramatically. But I didn't feel like doing any of those things. No, I wanted to get some actual answers. And if Donna wasn't going to give them to me willingly, then I'd just have to get a little creative. I walked upstairs and stopped outside the bedroom door. Knocked once. Silence. Knocked again. More silence. All right. That's how she wanted to play it? Fine. I tried the doorknob. Locked. Predictable. Hey, Donna. I called through the door, my voice casual. Quick question for you. No response. I smirked. So, I was thinking, you know how we always said full honesty was the foundation of our marriage? Still nothing. Yeah, see, I was really counting on that whole honesty thing, I continued, leaning against the wall. But then this guy, this very confident, very tan guy showed up at our doorstep and said some pretty interesting things. A deep sigh from inside the room. Progress. I grinned. You know, it actually made me wonder, if someone were to really look into this, what would they find? I mean, if I started asking around? If I checked a few things? Still no answer, but I could hear movement. I decided to speed things up. Hey, you know what's funny? I suddenly feel super curious about where our money's been going. Like, all those transactions I never paid much attention to. I paused. Oh, and your work schedule. That's an interesting one, too. The door swung open so fast I almost lost my balance. Donna stood there, arms crossed, face tight with annoyance. Paul, what exactly are you trying to say? I raised my eyebrows. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that I'm about 5 minutes away from doing a deep dive into your entire double life. She scoffed. You're being dramatic. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just being thorough. I let that hang in the air for a second before pushing past her into the bedroom. Excuse me, she snapped, spinning around. I ignored her, walked straight to the nightstand, and yanked open the drawer. Nothing interesting. A few receipts, some loose change, and one of those tiny bottles of lotion from a hotel. I moved onto the dresser. So, Donna, let's say hypothetically, of course, that a guy wanted to figure out exactly how long his wife has been sneaking around behind his back. Where do you think you should start? She let out an exaggerated groan. Oh my God, Paul, enough. Oh, I'm just getting started. I grabbed my phone and pulled up our shared banking app. Started scrolling through transactions, humming to myself. You know, I said after a moment, you've been really generous with your spending lately. Spa visits, extra shopping trips. Oh, and look at this. A hotel charge. That's interesting. Her whole body went stiff. I smiled. Yeah, didn't think I'd notice that one, huh? She folded her arms. You're insane. Am I? Or am I just finally paying attention? I turned the screen toward her. Want to explain this one? She didn't even look at the phone. Paul, you're embarrassing yourself. Oh, I highly doubt that. I scrolled further, and then, there it was. A second charge from the same hotel, 2 weeks apart. I looked up at her. Wow, twice. Donna exhaled sharply, pinching the bridge of her nose. Paul, I travel for work. You know that. I nodded slowly. Right. And when, exactly, did your work trips start requiring hotel stays 15 minutes from home? Silence. I smirked. Yeah, that's what I thought. For the first time, Donna actually looked a little panicked. Not much, but enough for me to see that she knew she was running out of excuses. So, I said, setting my phone down. Let's make this easy. You can either start talking, or I can start asking people for you. Her jaw clenched. Like who? Oh, I don't know. I stretched, leaning against the dresser. Maybe your friends. Your coworkers. Heck, maybe even his wife, assuming he has one. Her eyes widened, just for a second. I grinned. Oh, does he? No, she snapped, too quickly. I chuckled. Oh, Donna. That was not a confident answer. She let out a frustrated sigh. Paul, stop it. Why? I asked, tilting my head. Am I making you uncomfortable? She didn't respond. I shrugged. Good. Because you made me uncomfortable when I had to listen to some overly confident stranger tell me all about my own wife like he was giving me a Yelp review. Her face twitched at that one. I crossed my arms. Look, Donna. I'm not even mad about him, specifically. What gets me is the nerve of it all. The absolute boldness of waltzing into our house every day like nothing's wrong. The commitment to gaslighting me like I'm a fool. The sheer dedication to thinking I'd never find out. She exhaled sharply. Paul? No. Let's really break this down, I continued. At what point did you look in the mirror and say, yeah, I bet I can keep this going forever? She threw up her hands. Fine. Yes, okay. Is that what you want to hear? I clapped my hands together. Oh, there it is, folks. Took a little longer than expected, but we got there. Donna rolled her eyes. You are so annoying. Ah, yes, I nodded. I'm the problem. I'm the one who spent months running around behind your back, making a complete joke of our marriage. Oh, wait, no, that was you. She glared. So what now, huh? You're gonna make some big dramatic decision? Ruin everything over one mistake? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, one mistake? Donna, you repeatedly snuck off to hotels with a guy who has a personal tanning sponsorship. I feel like that qualifies as a series of mistakes. She groaned. You are being so. I held up a hand. Nope. You do not get to be mad right now. Silence. Then she huffed, crossing her arms again. So what do you want, Paul? Huh? What's the big plan? I smiled. Oh, don't worry, Donna. I picked up my phone. I definitely have a plan. And then I walked out of the room. I walked out of the bedroom and went straight to the kitchen, not because I needed anything, but because I needed to be somewhere that wasn't near Donna. There was only so much of her self-righteous nonsense I could listen to before I started questioning if I was the one losing my mind. It was funny. Well, no, actually, it was insulting. How she had the audacity to act inconvenienced by all this, like I was being unreasonable for not just nodding along and saying, you know what? You deserve this, Donna. You should have a secret side guy. That's on me for being too available and married to you. I grabbed a pin off the counter and started flipping it between my fingers. I wasn't really thinking about what I was going to do next, but I knew I needed to do something, because the one thing I wasn't going to do was let her get away with this like it was nothing. Donna came downstairs 5 minutes later, arms still crossed, face still stuck in that mix of frustration and forced indifference. Are you going to tell me what this plan of yours is, or do I have to guess? I smiled. Oh, it's a surprise. Her eye twitched. Paul. Yes, Donna. She exhaled through her nose, the universal sound of a woman realizing that a man she thought was fool enough to be manipulated was actually about to make her life difficult. You're really going to drag this out? Me. I gestured at myself, all mock innocence. I'm dragging this out? She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, enough. Just tell me what you're planning to do. I tapped the pin against my palm. I'm actually still figuring that part out. But I do know it's going to be good. Her jaw clenched. You're enjoying this. I grinned. Oh, absolutely. For the first time in her life, Donna was on the defensive. Not me. Her. And that alone made this the best entertainment I'd had in years. She sighed. Look, Paul? No, no, hold on. I held up a hand. Before you say whatever nonsense speech you've been rehearsing in your head, let's just clear a few things up. Her lips pressed together. Number one, I said, you cheated. Repeatedly. You made a conscious choice to do that. So let's not sit here and act like this was some little oopsie moment. She crossed her arms tighter. I never said. Number two, I continued, ignoring her. You lied. Repeatedly. You know, that whole acting like a normal wife while sneaking off to a hotel with a guy whose favorite topic of conversation is probably his own abs thing? Yeah, that was lying. She glared at me. Are you done? No, because number three, I took a dramatic step forward, grinning as she tensed up. You seriously thought you'd get away with it? Her nostrils flared. What do you want from me, Paul? Now, that was a fantastic question. Did I want an apology? No, because any apology that came out of her mouth would be as fake as the enthusiasm she showed when my mom called. Did I want revenge? Also no, because that would take actual effort, and honestly, Donna wasn't worth effort. What I wanted was for her to understand, deeply, that she had officially ruined her cushy little life. And just like that, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I grabbed my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and found the one person who would absolutely love to hear about all of this. Donna's sister, Lisa. Now, Lisa and I weren't exactly best friends, but we had one very important thing in common. We both found Donna exhausting. And Lisa, bless her nosy little heart, loved drama. She lived for it. If there was a scandal in the family, Lisa would know about it before it even finished happening. I hit dial. Donna's eyes widened. Paul, don't. I grinned and held up a finger. Shoo. I'm making a call. She lunged for my phone, but I dodged her easily. Lisa answered on the second ring. Paul? Hey, what's up? I smiled. Oh, you know. Just thought you'd be interested in hearing about what your sister has been up to. Lisa gasped. Oh my God. Tell me everything. Donna made a strangled sound. Paul, don't you dare. I turned my back to her and strolled toward the front door, speaking just loudly enough for Donna to hear every word. Well, Lisa, funny story, turns out Donna has been very busy lately. Not with work, though. No, she's been sneaking off to hotels with some random guy. Lisa practically screeched with excitement. Wait, what? Yep. I glanced over my shoulder at Donna, who looked like she was about to explode. And the best part? She actually thought I wouldn't find out. Lisa cackled. Oh, this is amazing. Donna stormed over, trying to snatch my phone again, but I held it out of reach. Lisa, I gotta go, I said, still smirking. I just wanted to make sure you got this information first. Lisa was giddy. Oh, don't worry, Paul. I'm on it. I hung up and pocketed my phone. Donna looked like she was physically restraining herself from throwing something at me. Paul, what is wrong with you? I grinned. Oh, sorry. Were you hoping to keep this a secret? She clenched her fists. You were such a... Careful, I interrupted. Whatever you're about to say, remember I am not the one who ruined this marriage. She inhaled sharply, nostrils flaring, then spun around and stomped upstairs like a kid throwing a tantrum. I plopped down on the couch, stretched my legs out, and smiled. This was going way better than I expected. Now all I had to do was sit back and let Lisa spread the news. And oh, she would. I checked my watch. Give it 2 hours, tops. Lisa did not disappoint. It took exactly 1 hour and 43 minutes before my phone started blowing up. First, a text from Donna's cousin, then a missed call from her aunt, and then, my personal favorite, a message from her mother, written in all caps. I didn't even have to open it to know it contained the kind of rage usually reserved for local news reports about kids skateboarding near the community center. Donna came storming downstairs not long after, her phone clutched in her hand like it had personally betrayed her. Are you serious? She hissed, shoving the screen in my face. I took a sip of my drink. Define serious. She glared at me. You told Lisa? I grinned. Of course I did. She let out a frustrated noise that I'm pretty sure only dogs could hear. You were such a... I cut in, wiggling a finger. Careful. Your whole family's watching now. Might want to keep that fake innocent act going a little longer. She groaned and dramatically collapsed onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. This is so unfair. That was it. That was the moment I truly lost all remaining respect for her. I let out a laugh. Oh, unfair? Unfair. She shot me a look, but I was already standing up, clapping my hands together like a coach about to give a motivational speech. Let me get this straight, I said, pacing a little. You cheated. You lied. You did the absolute most to make me look like a fool in my own home. And yet, somehow, I'm the bad guy. She scowled. I knew you were going to overreact. That did it. I let out a laugh so sharp it actually startled her. Oh, well. Overreact? That's amazing. Do you hear yourself? Seriously, Donna, take a second. Listen to what you're saying. I mean, really listen. She crossed her arms. You didn't have to tell Lisa. I grinned. Oh, yes, I did. You humiliated me. I gave her the look. You know the one. The one that says I could ruin your entire day with a single sentence, so choose your words carefully. Instead of speaking, I just raised my eyebrows and waited. Finally, she sighed. Paul, come on. Let's just talk about this privately. Now that was interesting. I sat back down and folded my hands. Huh, that's funny. She frowned. What? I tilted my head. You suddenly want privacy? You didn't seem too concerned about that when you were running around town with your little friend. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Nothing came out. I smirked. Yeah, that's what I thought. She groaned and threw herself back against the couch. I hate this. I grinned. Well, I love it. Her phone buzzed again. She looked at the screen, groaned even louder, and tossed it onto the coffee table. Oh my God. I picked it up and held it out to her. Oh, what's wrong? Your support team not as supportive as you thought. She glared at me. Paul, stop. I leaned forward. No, Donna. You stop. Stop acting like you're the victim. Stop pretending this is some minor inconvenience that just happened to you. You did this. You made the choice. And now, shockingly, there are consequences. She was silent for a long moment, staring at her hands. Then, finally, she looked up at me. What do you want? Ah, there it was. I smiled. I thought you'd never ask. Her jaw tightened. Paul, be serious. Oh, I am extremely serious. She sighed. You want a divorce? Obviously. I shrugged. Obviously. She looked like she wanted to argue, but for once in her life, she had nothing. I clapped my hands together. So glad we're on the same page. Now, let's talk details. She frowned. Details. I pulled out my phone and started making a list. Oh, you know. House, finances, logistics. All the fun stuff. She hesitated. You really want to do this now? I looked up. Do you want to drag this out? She glanced at her phone again. Another text, another headache. She sighed. Fine. I grinned. Perfect. And just like that, the end of our marriage officially began. Donna sat on the couch like she was bracing for a tax audit. I, on the other hand, was feeling fantastic. Not because my marriage was ending, that part was still a mess, but because for the first time in years, Donna had absolutely no control over the situation. She had spent so much time manipulating, dodging, and covering her tracks that she had completely forgotten one simple fact. Eventually, people catch on. She sighed and rubbed her temples. Paul, can we just... I don't know, do this civilly. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, now you want civility? Come on, she groaned. I know you're mad, but do you really have to make this a whole thing? That got an actual laugh out of me. Oh, Donna. Sweetheart. Love of my soon-to-be distant past. You made this a whole thing the second you decided our wedding vows were more of a suggestion than a commitment. She folded her arms. I didn't plan for this to happen. I nodded. Yeah, that's the problem. You didn't plan. You just did things, assuming there'd be no consequences. She huffed. Okay, fine, whatever. Just, what do you want? I leaned back in my chair, stretching. Glad you asked. First, the house? Mine. She scoffed. Paul, be serious. Oh, I am painfully serious. Why should you get the house? I shrugged. Well, I didn't bring random strangers into it. That seems like a pretty strong argument in my favor. She rolled her eyes. You know I can fight for it in court. I smiled. And you know I've already made sure your entire family knows exactly why we're divorcing, which means you'll have zero sympathy when it comes time to divide things up. In fact, I'd love to see you try to take me to court and explain to a judge why you should get to keep the house after. Oh yeah, cheating for months. She clenched her jaw. I continued. Next up, you're covering any legal fees. She laughed in disbelief. Are you insane? Hey, you wanted civil, right? That's me being civil. She shook her head. I can't believe this. Can't believe what, Donna? I asked, genuinely curious. That your actions actually have consequences? That the worst-case scenario you ignored is now sitting in your lap, demanding compensation? She crossed her arms. You're being vindictive. No, I corrected. I'm being logical. You threw away the marriage. I'm just making sure you don't get to walk away comfortable. She sighed, rubbing her temples again. God, you're so dramatic. I smirked. You know who else thought I was dramatic? That guy you were sleeping with. Oh, wait. No, he didn't. Because I never should have had to meet him. She flinched. I let that sit for a second before continuing. Look, Donna. This isn't a negotiation. You made a decision. Now you live with it. She sat in silence for a long moment, staring at the table like it owed her an apology. Finally, she exhaled. Fine, she muttered. You want the house? Take it. But I'm not paying for your lawyer. I grinned. Oh, Donna, you're definitely paying for my lawyer. She groaned. You cannot be serious. I shrugged. I can, and I am. She let out the most aggressive sigh I've ever heard in my life. Paul, can we just be adults about this? Oh, now you want to be adults? Paul. Donna. She rubbed her face. Look, I'll agree to the house. But I'm not covering your legal fees. I nodded slowly. All right. In that case, I'll just make sure to really take my time with this whole divorce process. Maybe bring in a few extra lawyers, just to make sure every detail is perfect. Her eyes narrowed. You wouldn't. I smiled. She groaned again. Fine. You're impossible. I know. I stood up. Glad we cleared that up. She threw herself back against the couch like a teenager being told to clean their room. I walked toward the stairs, whistling. Where are you going? She called. I grinned. Oh, just upstairs. Thought I'd start packing your things. Paul? Don't worry, I cut in. I'll be civil about it. I didn't wait for her response. I was officially done. The next chapter of my life was starting. And for the first time in a long time, I was actually looking forward to it. The end. Thanks for watching. Rate the story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel